is so difficult to pull off. We already have the Tom Kench, so it's just not going to be. It's not going to happen. You don't have Hex Flash that's disabled today.
Wait, I got a crazy idea.
Tom Kench solo lane.
No. I'm thinking a possible Karthus.
Karthus?
I mean, if Cuz plays Karthus here, right? You've got all AD outside of the Karthus. You're feeling pretty good about it. He can theoretically farm us somewhat as quickly as Rumble can.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it.
It's a possibility.
We have seen it played.
Might not be a good one.
Zoe going to be a lot more long range. I mean, this composition has so much poke. I mean, you can poke with Varus from far away. The range is great from Rumble's Equalizer. You have Nocturne who can engage from a very, very far away distance. And, okay, final pick here. Are they going to go down the split push path? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to play this. You could Twisted Fate here. No way are they actually going to do it. I feel like Dane just gave the thumbs up, so it's definitely possible.
Oh my god.
This just feels like a tease.
I'm so ready. Okay, no, instead it's going to be likely to be Cuz on this Diana. We saw Diana actually considered a couple of times in our opening series of the evening. Of course, wasn't really up to snuff. We saw Canyon play it once at MSI, but she wasn't really cream of the crop. And now with Morgana taking a bit of a beating, you know, changes to the jungle as well, requiring a little bit less epic speed in clearing things out, you know.
So Faker is going to be on the set, the Zoe. We've seen this matchup before. It's not absolutely crazy for the set to end up being stable here, as long as he plays it well, which, you know, that's the name of the game. Faker. Oh, as I say it. Never mind. Even the Korean casters got a little giggle, a little laugh at this one. It will be swapped at the last possible moment here. So not to be the case, actually. It's going to be a more favorable matchup into the Nocturne at the top.
Yeah, going to be that wait all the way until that 20-second mark, which is where you have to confirm all of your picks, of course.
This is pretty nuts, actually, what we're seeing between these two teams. And this meta is so hard to figure out until last possible second. I mean, even in these drafts where we have everything locked in, it's not until the literally last lock-in second that these things are finalized. And, you know, the Varus pick is what's scariest to me, but it pairs well with the Zoe poke, you know, the Equalizer. Getting to that later part of the game and getting Teddy really online here and getting that range up is going to be a lot harder against this amount of range, around this amount of poke and engage potential they have with the Nocturne. Like, I really like HLE Esports' draft, to be honest.
The thing that I find really interesting is I actually kind of like the set matchup into Zoe better than the Lee Sin matchup into Zoe. We'll just have to see how this one's going to go. Maybe we'll have some solo lane shenanigans on the T1 side. It could certainly be a possibility.
Baker just wants 68, so.
I think he's, hasn't he already played Lee Sin? I think he might have.
I actually don't know.
Because there was a brief moment in time where Lee Sin mid lane was just completely broken. And might have been.
It might have been
a thing that he'd done.
Yeah, it might
But I don't really know. Maybe it is going to be 68. I'm sure we'll get the graphic.
Yeah, if it is. If it isn't, then we won't, and we'll know. I think. This is pretty nuts. So, Diana Jungle, is this the first time in LCK? I think it might be.
Yeah, outside of MSI, of course, there were whispers of, you know, Diana making her way in, and of course, with the amount of patches that had come through, and we know all of the post-MSI LCK that's happened, Wolf. We've casted all 3 games.
It's crazy to think, like, what Facebreaker plus Diana's ult can actually do in a team fight.
Yeah, it's a lot of grouping everyone up together to get wailed on by a Teddy.
But it's going to be so hard to actually get into to actually get into a position where you can Facebreaker this team that has so much range. Obviously, you know, the Leona and the Nocturne are going to be the ones that are coming into you, make it a lot easier to pull that off. So Cuz is going to have to be flanking. A lot of this game is going to be decided, a lot of these late game team fights, if we get there, are going to be decided by vision, I think, and knowing where those flank angles are going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the matchup between the AD carries you want to see, right? Into some top tier AD carries, right? With the Senna and the Varus, you know?
I'm interested to see what Teddy's going to do, because if we remember back, like, Teddy was an absolutely amazing center player. It was him and Deft that was sort of leading the charge when it came to, you know, really dominant center performances. But Deft has always been a lethality Varus beast.
Yeah.
And he has taken Hail of Blades, but of course, guys, it's likely that he's still just going to be heading towards the lethality vibe as level 2 gained by HLE Esports first. It's what we've been seeing globally, and it just feels like on-hit Varus has fallen off to the wayside.
Yeah, Hello Blades is great early. I mean, he's going to be very happy with it. So this matchup, like you said, between Faker and Chovy and Zoe is there's 68. Told you.
I thought maybe he would have played it. It's like when you've got Faker who's been playing since 2013, right? It's just been so, like, it's such an extraordinarily large amount of time that you have to remember all of the things that could have potentially been in meta.
I mean, look at this. The last time it was played mid was KT's Ryu beating I Am Mid King, okay? 2013.
Well, Deft is taken down to about 200 health as Teddy's going to get devoured. Vista denied a lot of his engage as Piercing Darkness over Deft. Not exactly what he wants to be dealing with right now. Doesn't quite find enough follow-up damage to really make anything of that worth it, but still able to shove out the wave.
I don't want to say Faker is struggling, but obviously this is going to be a favorable matchup for the ranged Zoe, and is definitely helping to push the wave, is harassing quite successfully here.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like Faker made a sacrifice to give Canna an even better matchup towards the top side.
I mean, if you're going to have one player who struggles a little bit, like, I think you'd probably rather that be the Faker, right, in almost every case.
Yeah.
Especially in the mid matchup, like, you're going to feel pretty good about that. As, actually,
time,
not the first time.
Yeah. The last time was, in fact, Cuz, who lost against Clid. Interesting. It was, of course, against Clid's very famous Jungle Jarvan, which he's been, been one of his key picks for a really long time. Cuz once again, lying in wait. This time just waiting to lock down Morgan. Okay, that's going to be Facebreaker, and I think he's just dead. No opportunity to even flash out of that one, as Cuz is going to be able to lock down first blood. Solo kill possibly for Chovy. Takes a turret shot against the flash.
So really nice flash timing there from Faker. Last possible second, gets away. So it's a success, but it's not as big as a success as the top lane gank ended up being.
Oh no.
And look at this, Johan's down here, but Carry and Teddy are just still sitting pretty in the bot side of the map. Like 2v3, okay, spend more time here.
Okay, wow, Vista actually still just going to decide to go in. Teddy burning down with the Ignite. Carrier now trying to walk away. Still has Flash available, though. The stun comes in as Canna gets the two-man Facebreaker. It feels like the teleports are just perfectly unlocked for T1 this series.
Oh no!
And they're looking for even more. The stun's going to come in. They even had a ward there in preparation as Teddy locks down a kill for himself as well. It has all fallen apart for Hummelite.
You don't have to brute force. It feels bad to lose out, you know, in the 2v1 on the top side of the map. You didn't see Cuz. You end up losing your top laner. You don't get the kill on the Faker, so you feel like you've got to do something. We're on the bottom side of the map. We've got Prio. Let's try to force this down. You know, it's Johan on the Rumble. Can maybe get that flamethrower to do enough damage, but you commit that hard, you find yourself teleport flanked. As you can see, Cuz plays in windowed mode here. Yep. And, I mean, this is really easy. The stun is there, the follow-up phase breaker. Boom. And, like, there's just so much CC, you're dead there. But look at this, I mean, he's staying so long, he's begging for someone to flank teleport. They're like, oh, is he really staying? Okay, he's really staying. We're going to trade a bunch of damage back. And then Kana shows up.
And that ward as well, like the position on that ward, I mean, Hummelite Esports had absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
Vista was flashing underneath the turret while Canna was walking at them, and not even while it was channeling.
And this is a composition that has so much CC too that, you know, you end up getting the Facebreaker, then you get Lickitung-ed, and, you know, you're not getting out. It's a 3 kills to 0 lead here at, you know, just over 5 minutes into the game when that happened. And T1 are now sitting on a fantastic lead. A kill and 2 assists for Kana in the top lane. Faker survives that mid push. And there's just nothing going right for Hummelite Esports, unfortunately, at this stage.
Yeah, it's not really working. However, Hummelite's comp is very different to what they had in game number 1. It's a composition that does do very well around the mid game. Last time they had not a lot of agency in any lane outside of just can Cogmore kill anyone. And now they've got damage from basically everywhere outside of Vista. So they're going to try and see what they can do here with a lot more of a damage profile. However, they're just losing here on the bottom side of the map. Cuz moving himself towards this bottom lane.
They cleared vision. They know there's no vision. Cuz has still not been seen. Okay, he is now.
Definitely now, yep. As he dives on forward, and I just don't know whether it's going to be enough. Moonfall comes down, and I think Vista is just
double.
dead. The flash on forward. Deft is going to flash to answer. And Cuz looks like he knew that he wasn't going to be able to take enough turret shots. That's a nice sidestep. And Vista just continuing to walk the same direction as that particular Juke. Liked it a lot. Deft still walking on forward now, but they are able to take down this Leona. Equalizer clears out the minions, but isn't able to grab the kills as That was a cute little flash over, but it's just not going to be able to be enough
Feels
distance.
like Hanwha Life Esports are just one step behind, you know, in terms of what they're able to accomplish map-wise here. They're trying to match these rotations. They're trying to punish the same way T1 did just moments ago, and they're unsuccessful in doing so.
Yeah.
This could have been worse for Hanwha Life Esports, but they commit the rumble to follow up, the flash forward, and that's just painful as we'll watch this one more time. See, it's actually really well handled by Hanwha Life. Like, Vista gets the stun here, walks back under the bottom side of the turret. Cuz doesn't have enough damage to actually execute, has the follow flash. Vista has a wave here coming, so he actually is able to stay here for so long, survive. So Johan's like, okay, I'm coming. I've already rotated all the way down here. I'm going to drop the equalizer. Does not hit Cuz, only hits Teddy and Vista.
He was just aiming for the minion wave, but like Vista had already died, so maybe you try and go for a kill instead, and then maybe that flash that he had afterwards means something. However, if that doesn't happen, the flash is completely unnecessary.
I mean, you already, like, Vista doesn't have flash, Deft has used his flash, so you don't gain that much from taking Teddy's away.
This is somewhat bold from T1 as, okay, Rift Herald down very, very low. Johan does secure it, but there's the kickback. Faker making the plays as Leona, the first one to go down. Morgan diving into the backline. The equalizer is good, but it's too late. It's a double kill for the man in the mid lane. And Deft is able to lock one down at the back, but it's not going to be enough. T1 lose the Herald, but it's a 3-1 when it comes to the team fight.
A fantastic trade for them. They will absolutely be happy with this. And now they've got full map control. The whole map belongs to them. And Hanwha Life Esports are getting a little bit back every time, but it's starting to really stack against them at this stage.
You know something that I've been saying a lot, you know, the older you get, the more refined your mechanics get. Well,
I mean,
that's, I think, what everyone says, because look at this from Faker, just really beautifully played.
I mean, Cuz handles this super well, too, and the Nocturne ult from Morgan is just so late. I feel like if you bring that in earlier, at least even if you hold it, you eliminate a lot of the vision. It's much more difficult for T1 to execute this, but he ults so late, I think because he's scared of engaging here. And, you know, it's just unfortunately him just coming to his death, right? Doesn't end up amounting to anything. Doesn't defend anything, doesn't peel for anything. And a little bit of hesitation here. In T1, they do not hesitate. They are executing every part of this draft that they've built so well. And the Diana pick just seems to be like the cherry on top with this. It's so mobile, so much hard engage potential. In these skirmishes, T1's composition will crush, but later, they've got the Senna scaling, so...
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fine. And I just really like the fact that Cuz can be a legitimate carry this game as well, because he is the one doing magic damage. Nobody else is, right? And so you're not really going to be building that much magic resist against a comp like this in your lane, and it's hard to justify building for the jungle. And so Cuz is going to be having a pretty good time there, as it is going to be Mountain Drake taken first. It's going to be our first game that isn't a Mountain Soul. How incredibly exciting. Not going to be a Cloud Soul either. So looking forward to whether it's a Ocean or a Infernal.
Infernal would be, you know, if Hanwha Life Esports can hang on and turn this game around, it would be pretty awesome for them.
Oh yeah, that's the dream.
That's the dream, but I don't know if that dream will come true or be realized here. Is T1 just have such great control over this game, over the map, and with Teddy being this fed, like, he's not a weak link, he's not someone who's vulnerable. You can't try to look for those picks anymore. You try to commit in, you're actually just going to die. Yeah. Those chains of corruptions hit, that's Vista probably dead. or Deft if he tries to trade back. Okay, Johan's spotted by this ward, and T1 you can't find any holes, you can't find any cracks today.
And they just know everything, right? Because all of the vision is there. Look at that cheeky control ward down the bottom side.
Meanwhile,
Cuz is making his way in. Okay, flashes out of the way. Not sure whether it's going to be enough. At least the Dawning Shadow misses. Can Morgan find the kill? The answer is absolutely not. Cuz says calculated as he walks away.
Oh, just right outside of range there, and this is starting to go from bad to worse. 8 kills to 1 right now. Hanwha Life Esports just cannot catch a break. You look for the commitment bottom lane, you're spotted on a ward, you get nothing on the top side of the map. Cuz makes the exact same play, but you don't have that ward, you don't have control of the lane, and you end up dying. It's almost a trade, even though you play it perfectly, but it's not good enough. And now Kana's going to get a turret first of the game, a lot of extra bonus gold over to T1, and it just feels like the floodgates have opened.
Yeah, it just feels like Hanwha Life Esports are scrambling right now, right? Yes, Chovy's ahead in farm. But that's about all you can really talk about, and even then, it's a 2-0-1 Faker on this lead sin. He's still going to be ahead in gold.
Ah, yes, the losing Honor Life Esports term, or the sentence, like, yep, Chovy's ahead in CS, but...
That's exactly how it is, but the fact that he's ahead in CS means that he hasn't been able to offer anything more. He also has Ignite in this lane, as well as the bubble is going to land. The Q is going to be there in response, and Faker with the Merc Treads just feels completely at ease in that lane.
When he got slept, but the minions were there for him. And he's going to get slept again, but Teddy's here, so...
I mean, maybe it's the perfect time for a nap.
Yeah.
You know, as the exhaust comes down, they're committing onto Johan, who flashes at the last second. I like that one. Solar Flare. Vista going to flash as well. And there is a Rift Herald making her way down the bottom side of the map. We'll see whether she can actually get towards the charge. The Equalizer's good. The Devour's even better, though, as Carrier spits Teddy out. He flashes. The Ignite ticks down and isn't going to be enough, and the double flashes will get T1 to safety. Chovy bounces. How did that? That was ridiculous, and I have no idea how that one missed. As there it is, finally, a kill does go down, as the Abyssal Voyage will get the rest of them to safety, and Shelly will get a charge. There is at least that.
Okay, they were able to turn this off, but T1 almost not only prevented Shelly from getting a charge, but also almost got out with all of their lives while Faker crashed waves into turret. But they don't get away with everything there. That was like getting
still
paid.
Varus having to flash, right?
Yeah.
And so now, theoretically, if Deft is ever out of position, silver platter for T1. That's actually huge.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is this next Drake fight is now, it should be super easy for them to pull off. As we watch this one more time, everybody's got flash advantage, so even though this ends up going poorly for T1, they're able to retreat against the wall. This was a very desperate attempt to try to get value out of that Rift Herald from so long ago. The sleep is actually massive here because it allows the Equalizer to connect, but they're still able to get over the wall here. Look at that Teddy with almost no health. Everybody else just follow flashing. And then without vision, they are able to pull this off. Def does. I believe he has no vision of this when he does hit it.
Yeah.
No, actually he did. Well aimed. And this is ended up being a charge that goes through, but it's not enough to turn this game around just yet. Like, they need more of these moments, and that took everything they had.
Oh, dear. Carrier in a whole host of trouble. Humble Life Esports have resorted to setting up gank brushes, and that is going to be catfish for dinner served up. So at least there's that. The answer for T1 is taking down an outer turret on the top side of the map and continuing to put pressure on everywhere. There's the play from Faker looking for Chovy, but trolled by minions just a little bit, and the flash does have to eventually come out. Not the kill onto the mid laner of Humble Life Esports.
They get the top turret, though, and they're looking for the mid one as well. I mean, you rotate that many players down to get a single kill onto Carrier, but there will be consequences on the map. You're going to lose top turret, you're going to lose mid turret. You almost lost your mid laner. He was able to get away, but he has to flash. And all of these things add up and stack up right before this second Drake comes online here for T1 to snowball this lead even further. It's the worst timing possible. They're even going to try to sneak this Rift Herald in, and they might get away with it. It's going to be close.
Yeah, they should be able to grab this. Def making his way back from base. Rumbles on the bottom side of the map. No smite available.
Yeah, Johan can't get in there. He doesn't have smite, as you say, and there's no one else near him, so it's not like they can trade this a 1-for-1. And T1 get away with it, like you said, for free. And they're not even just going to stop there. They're not going to go, oh, okay, we can just go take the Drake now. They're looking for even more opportunities on the map.
Yep, Canna just running towards Chovy. Is going to be Divine Sunderer completed here for Teddy, the new iteration of the Senna, just because Divine Sunderer is, you just build it on whoever can potentially build it.
Yep.
Right?
You just always do. That's the way it is now.
It's just some good stuff. I like it. I've always been a fan of the Divine Sunderer personally, so I'm happy that it's found its way in. Okay. Cloud Drake down to about half health here, but Humble Life Esports in position to try and fight it. Chovy only just getting his way over as there's the paranoia. Solar Flare finds absolutely no joy whatsoever, but it's a good equalizer as Morgan dives into the backline. Everyone going golden where they can. The kickback from Faker was fantastic, and the Varus is taken. Double kill for Teddy as he cleans up the bottom lane. It is an Infernal Soul, but I don't think that's the most important part because Johan, he's running for his life on the wrong side of the map. And it feels like T1 have already got this one tied up.
It feels like it, man. 11 kills to 4. And in this fight, you know, at the beginning of it, you see Morgan ult onto Teddy, but he gets devoured as well as soon as the combo is completed and almost all of the damage comes through. He gets devoured, he just walks back. And during all of that time, Cuz has a great engage, and Faker cleans up the nice kick you mentioned. It's just, you know, what can you do as Life Esports? You've kind of passed your prime with this composition in a lot of ways.
The problem is it never gets better than this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's already bad, but there's not much upside.
No, there really
That's
isn't.
the thing that really sucks. Yeah.
And so, you know, we'll watch this one more time, but watch Teddy, right? The paranoia gets popped. He dodges the solar flare. And then look at Teddy. He's already collapsed onto. But look at what's happening throughout the fight. Well, Teddy almost dies. He's actually totally fine, though. This is one of those moments where, like, what does your Nocturne do? If you don't dive onto Teddy with a Nocturne, are you trying to help front to back? You can't really do that either. And T1 are just too ahead. Their items are too good. Teddy is way too fed. You know, you can't blow up the AD carry for free. Then what is your function? Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot. I mean, you're blinding everybody, I guess.
Yeah, the thing that's so hard, right, is Life Esports, they chose to pick Nocturne instead of picking away the Tahm Kench.
Yeah.
And I think that decision is coming back to bite them, because Carrier's Tahm Kench has just bought enough time to deny the dive. And so T1 walks out after all of the ultimates are pressed, and then they find themselves exactly what they want afterwards. Yeah, Johan's dead, real dead.
And I don't even want to oversimplify this in terms of the draft, too, because, like, yeah, the draft could have been different. It could have been arguably better for Life Esports, but the early game play was just by far better for T1. They were one step ahead. They handled the aggression really well. Several great ganks from Cuz.
Yeah.
And they snowballed an early lead extremely well. You know, like what we didn't see Credit Freon do with a similar comp themselves, actually, in that second series. They were still able to win the game, but T1 just grabbed this game by the horns. They had full control from start to finish. And Life Esports tried to match. They tried to kind of brute force their way into a bottom gank. It didn't work out. Ended up losing kills there. And they just kind of tripped over their shoelaces throughout the early game, whereas T1 played a nearly perfect game. And now we're looking at a 6K gold lead. Every single team fight has gone their way. And this is going to be Johan getting picked once again. Just doesn't have vision, but he's so desperate for any money he can get, and he just gets showstoppered right into a wall. Nobody could save him. Deft is like, sorry, bro.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do.
There's no way. And, yep, T1 just going to make their way back out onto the map. Looks like Baron going to be up in 10 seconds' time. I was about to say respawning, but it's only spawning for the first time here this game, because it is still quite early. 20 minutes on the clock. And Earth, Wind, and Fire in order.
Yep.
Absolutely beautiful.
I mean, Life Esports, they certainly have not been bringing this game back. I think this would have been the Drake they wanted, but now it just feels like it's more, it's fan of the flames that T1 have already lit. And, I mean, as Life, you just have to sit back now and hope for an overextension or perhaps somebody being out of position, because they still have that long range. They can sleep somebody, they can paranoia in, they have the equalizer. If they can find one single target, it's amazing. But when you don't have vision control, I mean, look at that. 2 control wards blocking out anything. They can't see. They have to go in blind like this with CHOVY's teleports.
Well, Vista, he's going to flash on forward. There's going to be a flash out immediately from Teddy, though, as he just goes into the mists. And now, Life Esports, have they overcommitted? CHOVY trying to walk out. Vista not going to be so lucky as he looks to try and get out. FAKER going to lock down that kill. As now Canna with the hugest shield ever, just chasing Morgan out. It is going to be a decent piercing arrow as Carrier comes on forward with the Lickitung, as you so beautifully put. And he's just going to be swept up. That's a triple for FAKER's Lee Sin. Canna's still hunting Morgan, but it looks like T1 are going to turn their eyes towards this Baron, as CHOVY, he's trying to tidy up the mess that was made in the mid lane.
Yeah, Morgan is going to try to
that
turn
sidestep
around.
was actually kind of cute if it was on purpose. FAKER looking for the unofficial Quadra, as he is going to get a little bit scared, and Canna says, don't worry, mate, I'll tidy this one up.
The inhibitor's down. There's a little bit of pressure even in the main base right now as T1 will clean up this Baron, but 6-0 and 5 is FAKER on this Lee Sin, but the story of this game, I feel like, has just been the coordination across T1. The bottom lane was so stable, and in these moments where you all in across the map to try to make something happen. I mean, we saw the teleport forward from CHOVY to try to stop a sleep. Then you see the Zenith Blade come through, and Vince is like, I gotta find somebody, anything. But even a Leona is just not going to be able to withstand the amount of items and damage. I mean, you were the one who coined the phrase, hit them with your wallets. T1 certainly are doing that right now. I mean, you all in like that with the Leona, you're hoping that your team has the follow-up, but they don't have the gap closed. They don't have the follow-up. In that moment where you try to come in, yeah, they have the Nocturnal, but you just can't blow somebody up. And if everybody goes in, they all die. And It's a lose-lose situation. It's desperation. This game was over a long time ago. They're just trying.
I wasn't going to say it, but I'm glad that you did, because it does certainly feel like a bit of a Harmon Life Esports circling the drain situation, as that is going to be the Infernal Drake taken. Only one more, and then T1 can get themselves the Infernal Soul, but I'm not entirely sure whether this game is going to last another 4 minutes and 45 seconds, as T1 with their Baron buff pushing down this bottom lane. Mid lane already sorted. The Brambleback now being taken, as there's the Paranoia looking for a bit of a fight here on Canna, as Johan walks into an Abyssal Voyage, and yeah, he puts down the Equalizer, but that's just Pineapples standing in a row. That is not doing enough damage whatsoever.
And can you blame Morgan for being so passive throughout the mid-game in this game when he's so far behind? And when you do try to make those plays, when you do try to Paranoia in, everybody jumps on top of you like you're a bleeding fish and they're a bunch of piranhas. I mean, T1 just crush him instantly. He has to back
that was a lot of damage. That was a Dawning Shadow just to soften up the members of Harmon Life Esports, and it's done exactly that. Underneath Nexus turrets now as Morgan goes golden. Teddy's going to be able to lock down the kill on his opposite number 3 already, as CHOVY, the last man standing. Morgan, I believe, actually fell down there as well, so make that one 4. I told a lie. Nope, never mind. Just respawning is Johan. And T1, oh, FAKER on the fountain will be taken down, but the Nexus will follow suit, and a very convincing 2-0 from T1, reinvigorated in summer.
T1 looking very good to start here against Harmon Life Esports. This is one of the matchups of this week we were most excited for. This is one of those matchups you felt like, okay, this is going to be a fantastic one. It should be close. Maybe it goes to 3 games. We'll see Harmon Life come back up. They've got a lot of time. They're back in form, you would hope. But it just doesn't end up being that way. It just does not end up being them being close to T1. These drafts were a little bit off. They were a little bit wonky. The execution of the draft in the second game was way better for T1. I mean, I can't criticize Harmon Life's mid to late game play at all, because they were just so far behind that their comp couldn't work anymore. They couldn't blow up those targets. They were looking for the Zenith Blade, the Paranoia to come through, and then T1 just turn around at anyone who comes through. Vista just couldn't even stay in a fight for more than 2 or 3 seconds. Thumbs up.
Yeah, big thumbs up there from FAKER. Fantastic to have the players back in LOL Park, and obviously for T1 it feels pretty good to walk away with a victory after their first in front of the fans for so extraordinarily long. Of course, we say, you know, fans are always there watching, but it just means so much to have them here in LOL Park as well.
Everybody's got a sign, everybody's cheering, everybody's screaming. Most of the signs say FAKER, he's back, right? And you mentioned it before, we were talking about Keria and Kana playing their first on-stage match with fans in the audience.
Yeah.
So a very exciting feeling for them, and I feel like as they continue to grow as players and as they continue to accumulate fans, there are just more and more opportunities to shine like this on the big stage. And maybe one day it'll be on the final stage in front of an even larger crowd. Maybe this team will go to Worlds. Feels like we're seeding or sowing the seeds. I don't know, I lost the analogy. It looks like we're planting the seeds for this a little bit early, but I think that T1 is probably going to Worlds. I think most people would agree. Most people predict that. We'll see if they can keep up the form. It's only their first best of 3, but they look already solid.
Yeah, let's wait till round 2 before we start talking about Worlds. But I think that this is certainly what we wanted and what we wanted to expect from this team, because T1, it was a lot of talk, right? It was a lot of big talk moving into this season. Danny certainly wanting to make sure that this is a team getting more and more serious. Locking the roster, like you were talking about earlier, Wolf, I think is actually, it says a lot for what they think about moving into this particular season and aiming, like you say, for that World Championship. And with, you know, an extra slot coming in there as well, that feels real nice at the same time. So the likelihood that we're going to be sending T1 is certainly much higher, given the percentage of our teams that will be going to Worlds.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, T1 is a team that has done historically well in summer, has historically traveled to Worlds many, many times.
Yeah, they walk away with titles
stars
more often than not. Yeah.
They've got 3 stars on their jersey for a reason, and this is a team that I think already looking this good out of the gates, I think will continue to improve as they continue to iterate on this particular roster. There's no more experimentation. It's just iterate, improve this roster. And the way they executed, especially game 1, I thought was so beautiful. Their coordination is on another level. It's way cleaner than what we saw in spring because it's the same players playing every time. It's the same players scrimming together, working together, not wondering whether they're going to be subbed in and out every week. This is the T1 people have been waiting for.
And it's also a T1 that can scrim against themselves, right? They can hide strategies, they can practice weird stuff because they have such a powerful sort of sub-roster that they can just play against one another. So let's have a look at some of the highlights here from this series as T1 really did put on a clinic.
They really did. I mean, it's not a bad showing from Hanwha Life Esports by any means, but, you know, Deft unfortunately didn't really get to come online in either of these games. The first game he played Kog'Maw, and unfortunately the game was out of his hands, right? They ended up falling too far behind. And in the second game he plays Varus, right? Which was what I really thought was going to be the boon for Hanwha Life Esports, but he just fell behind early. And some of the early ganks we had, some of the early kills from Cuz, or the roams we had from Cuz, right? Where he was able to actually hide. And that's why I call it a roam, because he was like roaming quite far and hiding where he was. Yeah. They tried to match, you know, with Johan, and it wasn't as successful. So they wasted a lot of time in the jungle, then ended up trading back kills. And even this moment was actually quite incredible.
Yeah. Very, very impressive. They all managed to walk out. It was very close to being by the skin of their teeth, but then Deft was there with the piercing arrow. This was cute, you know, but it did feel like so much desperation. It felt like every time Hanwha Life Esports got something, T1 took 5 things.
Yeah, they
elsewhere on the map.
When they got that kill on Dikaria, they lost 2 turrets, right? So
yeah,
I mean the trade-off obviously not favorable. This was the fight where you did see Morgan collapsing onto Teddy, and then he survived with 1/3 health, turns around, is back up full very quickly, and just obliterates everyone. This is another one of those desperate moments with Vista and Morgan. They were the 2 players who really tried in that later part of the game to engage onto Teddy. Can we kill this Senna? The late game power that T1 has with this composition is just, it all comes down to the Senna. Can we blow her up? Can we actually stop her? Chain the CC together, train this engage together, but it was just never enough. They were too far behind. They were killed before they could actually blow Teddy up every single time.
Yeah, let's listen to T1 as they take down Nexus.
먹기 돼. 나 시계 있어. 오케이.
나이스. 사이즈 이겼다 여기.
사이즈 있었다.
I want to see what Faker says.
Yeah, me too.
다이애나.
다이애나
나 보기 싫어.
다이애나 아쉬운데?
그러니까.
개 못하네.
방어 안 됐어. 한번 봐주라. 네, 나이스.
우리 인사해야 돼.
I think he's like, oh, that
야,
didn't work.
마스크 쓰고 앞으로 가자.
And kept getting, I think Curry actually tried to prevent him from going in by devouring him there. Ended up being pretty funny. But I mean, look at the damage actually across the board. Like, CHOVY out-damages Faker, not a huge surprise with the Zoe. Johan out-damages Cuz with those equalizers. You're not too shocked by this. Deft out-damages Teddy. But it's about the secured kills and the control over the map that we saw from T1. That's where the real win happens in this game.
Yeah, and of course, like, you have to add the Varus tax, right? Like, is there ever a game that Varus is in that he doesn't top damage? Just because you are so capable of endlessly dishing it out, but it's inconsequential poke in the end. And that was sort of proven during that game, despite the fact that there was more damage done by Hanwha Life Esports. Sometimes it matters about the damage done to the Nexus.
Yeah, and how much that damage actually ends up securing kills or just putting health bars very low.
That's exactly right. But we are going to unveil our player of the game, as it is behind me, of course. Not exactly much of an unveiling if it's already there before I've even started saying it. But congratulations to Canna. He's going to pick that one up with his set play. I think my vote probably would have gone to Faker. I think that, you know, votes for Teddy would make some sense. Not sure where yours went, Wolf.
I actually voted for Teddy. But Canna coming down here to the bottom lane in this moment was a big misunderstanding of, you know, where the vision was on the map and Kanna's ability to rotate down here. Hanwha Life thought they were safe to continue to push the issue here.
Definitely a lot of tunneling from Hanwha as well.
Yeah, I mean, every time there was a kill, because this is when they try to trade back a kill after the top kill, right? So this is actually right after he gets another kill right before this, and then you just see so many good engages from Canna in this game, and the follow-ups are good. He's always exactly where he needs to be, and the base breakers just keep happening. This is one of those big haymakers in the team fight, but he had just a really nice awareness. His macro game was good. His teleports were well timed. His flanks were nice. He punishes Johan here once again. He's just already always one step ahead of where his opponents are ready to punish. We'll see the votes here.
It's another really eclectic one, right?
Yeah.
And, actually, no votes for Faker. I would have been the only one.
The Observers really pushed it over the top. If the Observers went like any other way, it probably would have been Teddy, but they pushed it 5 out of 12. 3 for the media.
Am I trolling? Did Faker actually not play that well?
No, I thought he played very well.
Yeah, that's what
I thought he was pretty stable.
Very
think
strange.
the thing about Faker nowadays, it's funny, is he plays very well, but he plays kind of behind the scenes. Like he does extremely good things, but it's not in your face. So sometimes it goes unnoticed by people, I think.
Yeah, maybe. I just felt like, that a lot of his team fights were very, very good. But I don't have a vote, and maybe that is for a reason. But still, I like when it's all spread around because it just shows the team's just playing well, right?
Yeah, that's a good sign. Whenever you see that consistently happening for a team, you're like, uh-oh, this could be the one.
Yeah, no, exactly right. But ladies and gentlemen, we do have that interview with Cuz and Kana, so let's throw it over to Ji-sun for the translation.
여유로운
Thank you very
승리를
much, guys.
가져갑니다.
And
T1의
T1
칸나
picks
선수,
up
카즈
a very
선수
clean
만나볼게요.
win
승리
against
축하드립니다.
T1 against Hana Life Esports. So let's invite Cuz and Kana for the POG interview.
본격적으로 서머가 시작된
I
것
think you guys are
같습니다.
all
오늘
getting
팬틱도
warmed
그렇고
up for the
내용면도
summer
그렇고
split
모든 걸
here
체감할
at
수
Lowell
있었던
Park. I
첫
think you
경기였는데요.
guys really
초반
won
들어갑니다.
game
카즈 선수.
and also won the draft as well. How was today's match?
개막날이고 또 하나
Today was the opening match, and we were able to play up against a very strong team. So I was pretty nervous, and we prepared for it really hard. So I'm glad that we were able to pick up a really nice result. I'm happy that we were able to pick up a clean 2-2 win in the opening game. And Danny actually told us to win with a size. So I think we were able to actually pull it off. So I'm really happy for that as well. How are you feeling playing in front of a live audience and fans?
떨리진 않았어요?
I'm so glad to see them. But I wasn't really too nervous.
그러면
I actually
팬분들께
enjoyed
한마디
it.
해주세요.
Thank you very much for coming out here. Thank you.
카즈 선수도 오랜만에 인사해요.
What about you, Cuz?
이렇게 오랜만에 팬분들
It's super nice to be back on the stadium with the live audience, and thanks to the chants and cheer from the fans, I think we were able to get this win. We really want to hear about game number 1's pick and ban. T1 unbenched Nocturne mid and Gwen top, and Hana Life Esports played Volibear into Nocturne. What did T1 players say about the Volibear mid? Yeah, this was actually the first time for us to see that, so we were like, oh, it's Volibear mid. But we weren't too flustered about it. We were just preparing for the upcoming game. And Kana, I saw a smile on your face at that moment. We thought it's gonna be definitely Lee Sin mid, so we were a little bit surprised to see the actual swap in the end. But it was pretty fun to play against. And in game number 1, Rumble's early jungle path was very interesting. You didn't really come in too hard for the jungle clear. You actually instead played around the bottom lane. Could you break down your early game setup? I just followed my feelings, you know, and I'm glad that I was able to get the praise because we got good results. And all together, we all 3 junglers are preparing really hard for the LCK games. So on the mid lane, you guys are able to, have a fantastic teamwork. And then Faker said, yeah, we were working and moving like just one person. So let's take a look at the replay.
얘까지만 딜. 나이스. 야 우리 한 몸이었다. 좋았어.
So Faker said we were working like one body, one person. So was that team fight that you guys calculated beforehand? Just like Faker said, we were working perfectly synchronized at that point, so we were able to pull off a kind of a wombo combo. It was really thrilling after executing that play. And we were actually curious to hear if any of the T1 players would say, could you turn off the live, the famous catchphrase of the T1 commercial? Well, no one did, but I just did now. Moving over to game number 2, Kana, you were the highlight of game 2. We had a very effective flank TP coming down to the bottom lane. What kind of call went back and forth? So our bottom duo told me that there's a really nice ward to pull off a flank TP, so I went in. I think T1, every player is super kind of ready for the matches. How did the preparation go? Well, we were not able to, have a good result in the spring split, and while we were preparing for the summer split, I think we started to enjoy it and we were kind of getting better teamwork. Just like you said, T1 was not able to, accomplish the ideal result in the spring split. So what's your personal goal in the summer split? My personal goal is taking down Tama and Kia, the #1 team of the spring split, and becoming the best, of course. And because with this improved synergy coming up from T1, I'm pretty sure you want to reach higher, right? When we were practicing, it was definitely tough and hard, but we all worked so hard for this. So I'm glad that we were able to, pick up a really nice result. But I hope we don't dwell on it. We would like to push this momentum forward until the very end of the summer split. And as you mentioned, Kana, your next opponent will be Damwon Kia. What kind of crack are you trying to attack on? Personally, well, I think they are the strongest team, but it's a bummer that we get to face them too early, to be honest. But now that we are facing up against them, I would really want to take them down. Cause is there anything you would like to say up here? I also think that Damwon Kia is really strong, so our team will also prepare really hard and have a great one. All the players on the side of T1 are working really hard, so I would really appreciate the support from our fans. Once again, congratulations on your win, and this will be the end of the interview from Cuz Kana from T1's opening match, and I'm going to pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ji-sun, as usual, for the interview translation. Fantastic to hear from Cuz and Kana, and of course, these two players weren't necessarily the ones that we were touting. Our key player matchup was Deft versus Teddy, looking at Teddy to try and stretch that winning record against Deft. Faker versus Chovy is a huge one as well, and Carrier has just been an absolute beast. He's been the word of the town as well when it comes to, the bottom lane, but it's the other two that picks up player of the game. Just shows how well-rounded this team is looking at the beginning of the season. Let's have a look at our play of the day. Which one is it going to be? It's this one.
Delight into Hoya.
This is the Penta.
And, I mean, without the Gnar ultimate, I don't think it would have been as easy to pull it off, but you end up getting the Hoya ult through, and Lava is just able to dash through everybody. Fate actually has his Guardian Angel. Doesn't matter. Lava still picks it up here. Penta King. Not just the Mid King, not just the Wall King, the Penta King himself.
It looks a little bit like those clips that you see on Reddit of like, look at my sick pentakill that I got, and they've hidden how much gold they have, which items they have, and all that sort of stuff, because it just looks gross, the amount of damage that he picked up. He was very far ahead, but still played like an absolute beast the entire series long as well. If you missed the first series of the day, it is worth a watch, because Fred and Breon are just a team that is so easy to fall in love with, and they played so well. It's time
to push them up, I think, a few tiers maybe in a lot of people's minds. After watching that game, I'm convinced that they have a lot of potential. Definitely looking like the stronger team versus Live Sandbox there. T1 taking the win too. So Wait, 2-2-0s today.
When's the next day that Fred and Breon are playing?
That I don't have in front of me, but I think you do.
I'm looking for it.
It's not tomorrow.
It is not tomorrow.
I know that's not tomorrow.
They play on Friday, all right, against Afrika. A match that they could potentially win. We might be in a world where Fred and Breon are top of the LCK at the end of week 1.
It could happen.
That could actually be a thing. And it quite comfortably be a thing.
Tomorrow we have a few question marks to settle, though.
Yes, we do.
Nongshim, a lot of people saying they're another team to watch out for, and Scrim's already a team we know is very good, potentially, right, based on what we saw from them in spring.
Gori as well, making his Nongshim debut, which is extremely exciting.
And then we have to see what happens with Genji and DRX, because DRX, at least on the global side of things, we're all feeling like might have overperformed in spring. We're not entirely sure how they're going to do. Most people favor Genji in that series tomorrow, but we have to wait and see.
But the CV Max effect.
The CV Max effect.
What does it mean? What does it do for your team as well? And he's likely going to be standing behind them in LoL Park as well tomorrow, which is going to be very, very interesting to see indeed. Genji, formidable opponents though, so still plenty of LCK to look forward to as we get to the rest of the week. But for today, that is going to do it. Good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
this big love. I'm not looking down.